Hi everyone, I'm Candice Blair with the Candice Blair Group, and as a realtor and a residential property manager, I see homeowners every day who have worked incredibly hard to build equity, but they haven't always put a plan in place to protect it. So today I'm joined by Jennifer Elliott with Ocean Estate Law, a local trust and estate planning attorney, to talk about what today's homeowners really need to know about trust, inheritance, and how recent changes like Prop 19 are impacting families here in California. So this conversation is especially important if you own a home or a rental property or have children who may one day inherit real estate. So Jennifer, it's so great to have you today. I have a question. At what point is it important for a family to get a trust, and who typically waits too long?
So you definitely want to have a trust if you own real estate, whether it's your primary home, whether you own commercial property, investment property. You've got to have a trust with real estate because there's no way to name a beneficiary on real estate. You need a court order or you need to have that property in a trust.
Got it. And who do you see is waiting too long to do that?
Oh gosh, people wait too long all the time. I get calls from people that say, I've been diagnosed with a serious illness. I'm in the hospital right now. I'm incapacitated. I'm on my deathbed. That's when you wait too long. You've got to do these things when you're healthy and well. There's one other thing I wanted to mention. Not only do you need a trust when you have real estate, you want to have a trust if you own an LLC or a corporation, or perhaps you don't have a business or a home, but you have some children that have some special needs and need some special planning and care. Those are the reasons for having a trust.
Got it. That makes sense. So when somebody passes away in California and they don't have their assets in a trust, what happens?
That's probate, and that's unfortunate. So the probate code in California is lengthy, intrusive. So this is now the court interfering with your assets. You don't get to say who gets what. You don't get to say when they get it. The probate process in California, it takes about 2 years to get through it. It is public, not private. So if someone Googles Candice Blair, they see all of your business, and most people like their privacy. And finally, the cost of probate. It is expensive. If you have a $1 million estate, cost of probate is around $51,000. That's completely unnecessary. That's $50,000 that doesn't go to your loved ones. So get a trust and avoid that hassle of the court.
Yeah, the cost of the trust is nothing compared to the wasted money that a probate would create for that family.
Exactly. Probate costs are about 10 times the cost of a basic estate plan.
That's a big regret somebody might have if they pass away without a trust. So what are the most common mistakes that you see homeowners make when they are setting up a trust?
So if you're setting up a trust, the most common mistake is forgetting to fund it. It sounds like fun, but it's fund, F-U-N-D. You've got to fund your trust. You could have a really expensive, fancy binder trust, and it does nothing because nothing is actually funded to the trust.
Got it.
Your real estate should be funded with the deed in the name of the trust. Your bank account should be funded to the name of the trust. And that's what gives the trust its power. It's got to control assets.
Got it. I actually worked on a probate once, and they forgot to put the property back into the trust after they refinanced it or did a reverse mortgage. Do you see a lot of that too?
A lot of that. That's common. The bank wants to refinance your home. They want to get that loan, but sometimes they forget to put it back into your trust because that's not part of the loan. So hopefully we catch that. Hopefully they go see an attorney while they're still alive and well, and we can get that deed back in the name of the trust. Again, we have to avoid court.
Yeah, that cost over $50,000 and 2 years for that family. That was a big mistake. So how does owning a rental property or multiple properties change your conversation with your clients regarding trusts?
So now we're not just talking about let's keep the court out of your business. Now we're talking about asset protection. So when you have property that is going to be rented out to tenants, now you have to think about the possibility of getting sued. And you might say, well, I have tenants that I've known for a long time. They're not going to sue me. Well, what if they have someone as a guest in their home that has a slip and fall? What if there's a domestic dispute and somebody gets hurt? What if there's just trick-or-treaters on the property or
a dog?
Right, a dog bite. That's super common. a skateboarder comes skating by and gets hurt on your property. Well, if you're the homeowner, you're going to get looped into that lawsuit. So we start to talk about LLCs and asset protection. If you have an LLC, your rental property is in the LLC, and then here comes a lawsuit. The lawsuit is going to be barred by the assets in the LLC, meaning the lawsuit can't get to your other assets. It can't get to your home. They can't get to your bank accounts.
So that's protecting your personal assets.
Right.
And
it's
separating it.
Exactly. A protective bubble around that rental property is what that LLC gives you. You have to keep it maintained, and that's how you protect your other assets.
Sounds like it's especially important in California.
Definitely. Very litigious state.
Yes. So how has Prop 19 changed the way that families should plan around passing down their estates to their family members?
Right. So Prop 19, this came down in February 2021. And prior to 2021, a parent could pass their home on to their kids when they died, and the kid gets to step into the parent's shoes and keep the parent's same low property tax base.
Ooh, that was nice.
That's a gift. Some of these property taxes are super low, and the kids want to inherit that low base. But Prop 19 changed that. And so now there's only one small loophole that will allow the kid to inherit parents' property tax, and that is if it is the parent's primary residence when they die, and the child moves in within 1 year of the parent's death and makes it their own primary residence. And then it's got to remain that child's primary residence.
So that's the only way to keep the original tax base.
The only way. And so some people think, well, I'm going to move into my parents' residence and live there for a while, and then I'm going to move out and make it a rental. That's the reassessment. So the child has to continue living there as her primary residence in order to keep the property tax the same. That doesn't happen very often anymore. That's a hard loophole to fit into. So
especially if there's multiple siblings, I would imagine.
Multiple siblings, right. And so what happens in that case, say you have 3 kids and one of the kids is going to inherit it, well, only that kid's 1/3 share is going to be protected. The other 2/3 is not going to be protected. So there are some other strategies that we can do. So you definitely want to see an attorney. We might be able to do some other transfers under the umbrella of the trust that would allow the property tax to stay the same. You definitely want legal advice.
Yeah, sounds like Prop 19 made things a little more complicated.
Definitely.
And more important to talk to an attorney, get legal advice.
Absolutely.
So speaking of that, I know a lot of clients like to save money and they'll hire some services to create trusts for them and or try to do it themselves. So I would love to hear your take on this and any issues with that, or can that create any problems later?
There are so many issues with do-it-yourself trusts. Yes. A huge part of my practice is fixing the mistakes of do-it-yourself trusts. Like what happens when someone passes away with a do-it-yourself trust? We most often end up in probate court. So do-it-yourself trusts, it depends on your skill level, right? So if I were an attorney and I'm trying to go online to LegalZoom, for example, I can create a do-it-yourself trust and it would be effective. But most people don't have law degrees when they're going on LegalZoom.
And 20 years experience.
Right. Those programs are only as good as the material and the information you put into it. So one example, I had a client, she was a widow. Her husband was a business attorney and he had pancreatic cancer. He knew that he was going to be passing away and he said, I'm a lawyer, I can set this up. He set up a trust for them and then he passed away. And he told her before he died, don't worry, everything's in trust. Go see an attorney to help you get it all transferred out afterward. You're going to be fine. Well, she didn't have the power to sell the house after he died. She has a trust now that was called an A-B split. And that A-B split just wasn't necessary based on their assets. So this attorney, thinking he's giving his wife the best protection, he's a business attorney, not an estate attorney. So he put her into a trust that was too restrictive. We had to go to court to get a court order to undo it, to allow her to sell the house and have all the flexibility, because she only had access to 1/2 of her assets.
That sounds stressful and probably time-consuming and expensive.
Yes. So even attorneys can make mistakes. So if you're a lawyer, go see a lawyer with your specialization. Don't dabble in estate planning. Go see a professional in that area.
I completely agree with you on that. So, if a homeowner's watching this and they were to take one step this year to protect their family, what would that be?
So I would say that one step would be, don't give up the power that you have in setting up an estate plan. Many people don't realize that the only valid document they have after death is their will and their trust. And a will is good, but it's not enough to keep you out of probate court. So I would say, please go and see an attorney, see what's required for your assets and for your family members, what's necessary to protect your kids. Sometimes our kids have special needs. Sometimes we have kids that need some supervision over their assets. Go see a lawyer that's going to make sure you have a plan in place that's right for you, that is going to keep the court out of your business and allow you to exercise all your rights by naming agents and trustees that you choose and trust to handle things after your passing and in case you're incapacitated.
That makes complete sense. And then I would think they could sleep better at night. And when they leave to go on a vacation overseas, they don't have to worry, because if something happens, everything is set up properly.
You know that feeling you get when you're about to step onto a plane? Mm-hmm. That feeling of, oh, I need to call this person. I need to leave a note. What if this happens? I need to make sure they know where this is kept.
Yeah.
That's all in place already with an estate plan. So the next time you get on a plane after you've finished your estate plan, you have peace of mind that everything's in order, your kids will have everything they need, and your assets won't get stuck with a judge making decisions for you.
Great advice, Jennifer. One last question. So how often do you think it's important to have that trust reviewed? So if somebody had that trust put together 30 years ago, how frequently should they go see their attorney to update it?
If you have a 30-year-old trust, please come see me, because there have been so many changes in the law. If that document is up on a shelf and dusty and you don't even remember what's in it, whether it's been 5 years or 20 years, please come see me, because you want to make sure that your agents are still the people that you have good relationships with, people that you trust to handle things.
Or who are still alive.
Still alive. Probably your kids have grown up. There have been changes with them. You've got to update it as often as you need to based on your properties. Like you're in real estate, Candice. You buy and sell properties. You help people buy and sell properties all the time. If there's a lot of activity with buying and selling, that's a time to update your trust. Make sure your new house is titled in the name of the trust. And if you are buying rental property, those people have a lot of activity with assets changing. So any change in real estate, in family members, and changes in the law, those are the times to update your trust.
Good to know. Well, thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate that you've shared this insight today. If you're a homeowner and this raised questions for you, I always encourage being proactive, because planning ahead is almost easier than cleaning things up later. And if you found this helpful, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with someone who owns property or has family that they want to protect. And as always, if you have real estate, financial, lending, tax, or insurance-related questions, our Coastal Connections team is happy to be your go-to resource.